Rolling Stone Q&A.
So this is Alex Marr, and we're here with Tom DeLonge, and we're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. I actually wanted to just start off with, you know, where you're coming from musically, where you're going now, because you have a lot of stuff in the works. Obviously, a lot of people know you clearly from Blink-182. So I just wanted to say, yeah, exactly. So I just want to start off with, not all that long ago, you guys decided to take a pretty serious hiatus, and maybe we could just sort of touch on, you know, what was behind that decision.
You are a professional. We're here to talk about shoes and then just start with the whole story.
Yeah, no, you know, just because obviously a lot of people just are going to want to hear from you, you know, what was the decision to make a change all about?
Well, I think when we started as a band, you know, God, I put the band together when I was I started it when I was 16, and, you know, I'm now 30 years old, so I think people just grow up and grow apart. You're not the same people you used to be. You know, I think that happens a lot. It's kind of like if you start dating somebody, you know, when you're a teenager, and then you find yourself married, you know, way later in life, and you're kind of going, whoa, we're totally different than we were when we were teenagers. And I think that's part of the reason. You know, there's I think that all three of the band members were looking for different goals and different ways to run their personal life and their business life. And I was probably an odd man out with how I wanted to run my life. So it came to a point to where I needed to make some changes to be able to function as a father, you know, to my kid, you know, to the best of my ability, because it's hard when you're in a band where it's kind of a democratic thing where you always have to go and do things based upon what the whole band wants to do, and I respect that and I honor it and it's cool, but it was kind of getting to a point to where it was a lot more than I wanted to commit to, because I was away from my family for too much. So I needed to be able to be in control of my life so I can be around when I needed to be, not when the band permitted it to be, kind of thing, you know? Yeah.
So what was the moment at which you kind of thought, okay, you know, I want to change things? Like what was the turning point? Did you know right away what changes you would have to make, or did you just think, okay, I need to remove myself from the band and just take a look around me, and then you thought about Angels and Airwaves, and you thought about Macbeth, and, you know, how did that all work?
Macbeth, I mean, the companies that I've owned, we've owned them for quite a few years now, and Mark, I, and our friend Jonathan, well, I say Jonathan, makes him sound more important, it's John Humphrey, you know, we own this company called RLP, which is basically a company where everything's built off of rock and roll, and we started an apparel line called Atticus Clothing and a footwear line called Macbeth Athletics or Macbeth Footwear. And we also have an internet retail site that's kind of like a small little Amazon type thing, you know, it sells music and movies and all this stuff called loserkids.com. We have a whole bunch of things happening. All very modest company that's actually starting to grow very rapidly right now, so it's becoming a whole nother job in its own that we never thought or saw, but it's really exciting. So that was always going. When Blink decided to, you know, well, when I decided to not continue with that part of my life, I sat around and said, well, I'm not going to stop playing music. That wasn't the issue, you know. I just said, I still wanted the same things, you know, that I wanted when I was in Blink. I still want to be the biggest band in the world, and I still want to be the best songwriter I can, and I still want to do something positive and wonderful. In Blink, I didn't have as much of control over the direct message or what the band was directly about. I mean, the magic of that band was the three of us, and they were amazing musicians and amazing people, and because we were so completely unique as people, you know, in one band, I think that's what made that band wonderful and amazing and a force to be reckoned with. But when I left that band and sat around thinking about this, I was like, okay, well, what do I want to do? And I it took me about 3 weeks to figure it out. You know, I kind of laid up all day and all night, and I came up with this. Well, I thought it was going to be a concept. I was like, what do I want to do? What kind of music? Like, what kind of feeling? What kind of vibe and artwork and whatever? And I just go, well, rather than try and think of some kind of thing that could be packaged and marketed and sold, which is what they do a lot of times with rock bands, where they have their image, you know, and their artwork and whatever. The only thing I could choose to do was to be me. I said, wow, I get to do whatever I want to do right now. I could do anything I want to do. What's it going to be? And rather than be bummed about it and say I have to start up from, you know, ground zero, I can create anything I want to create. So, like I said, so after about 3 weeks of laying up all night long and all day, I just go, okay, I'm going to make the biggest band in the world, and it's going to be the most inspirational, positive message, and it's going to be the most epic and anthemic and heroic music I've ever made. And these songs are going to be 6, 7, 8 minutes long, and they're never going to feel long and self-indulgent. They're always going to feel like you're lifting to the clouds and flying, and you can have this endless perception of hope and ideas, you know, and that's where Angels and Airwaves came about. That's
a really heavy and intense goal to set for yourself, right? You're like, okay, I'm going to do it.
But the scariest thing about it is we started filming it because I knew, something I pitched to Blink when I was in Blink, I was like, we should have our next album premiere as a movie, because if you can sit somebody in a theater and they're sitting still, and you turn the lights off and you give them the music in 5.1 sound with a 30-foot screen, the music will touch them a lot harder than if it's just faintly coming through the radio. Problem with Blink is that I don't think we ever would have all agreed on something that we all completely loved, you know, or whatever. I mean, because it's a big process. A movie, you're talking about hundreds of people working on it, and you have to have one story, and you have to have one cohesive vision that everyone can give their heart and soul to. And it costs millions of dollars to make. So it's like, it'd be hard for all of us to agree on that. So with Angels and Airwaves, you know, we start filming the beginning of it, the beginning of the recording, and it was just going to be a documentary at first, kind of telling the story of what happened in my old band and why this one came about, what it means, and what I'm trying to do with it. And then the album started getting really, really good. Like, I knew it'd be good. I knew, some of the music I've been working on for years and years, a lot of it is it's exactly where I wished I could have took my old band, you know. But the thing is whenever you have an idea, in that band I would have an idea of where I wanted to go, and then those other guys would come in and put their 2 cents in there, and it would become what it is. And that's how, you know, a democratic band works, and that's how it should work. With this, like, I didn't have to worry about that. I was just kind of like, okay, I can do exactly what I want. So it was really interesting to see how one complete vision can come together in one band, and it just started getting good, and then it started getting really good, and much better than I thought it would. You know, like, it started tripping me out and started actually getting scared. I remember being up in we worked on it for a year straight, and I'd be up in my
in the studio all the time.
Oh yeah, for straight 12 months straight, and I'd be up in my studio, which was in my house, at like 2 a.m, listening to this music, kind of going, oh my God. And I'm getting nervous and having my stomach fall, because I'm going, fuck, I've been through this road before where I've had an album that just blows up through the roof, you know, or like, I remember like the nervous energy of going, the storm that's coming, you know. But this was so much bigger than that record, you know, so now I don't know what to expect. I'm not saying it's going to be gigantic or anything. I'm just saying there's something coming with this record and I think it's because my intent is there. The intent is good. I want to do something wonderful and powerful. And so I guess this is a long answer to your question, is like, it's a big thing to take on and try and do this, the description I gave you of what my band is. But when I told you we started filming it, it wasn't just about a month ago. I looked at some of the footage from the beginning of this journey that I went on, and I just saw someone that was scared to death, but it was absolutely full of passion and believed he can pull something off that's never happened in the history of rock and roll, where someone walked away from one of the biggest bands in the world to create something larger, you know? And whether it goes that direction or not, I have no idea. But the wonderful thing about it, I guess, and I'll finish this answer right now, is that I couldn't be more excited, because this is the best shit I've ever done in my life by miles, so.
That's great. I think it's so amazing that